left the target, came around, came back, and threw another run, using up any film that I had left, and in that way I was headed home, but it worked out real well. Now these numbers here are the number of exposures on each flight line. There was 28, 26, 29, 22. So for a total of 154 exposures on this plat. North was up this way, so this thing was angled in that manner. And there were towns, Parma, Modena, and Mantova, and I got a lot of flack, I think, on either Modena or Mantova that day. On this run on my 48, there were 163 exposures, because it was quite a bit longer. But it wasn't always that easy. If, as I said, we were dependent on watchfulness in order to anticipate any trouble. Fighters were the worst problem. They would, if they knew what they were doing, they would try to come in from below on our 6 o'clock and behind us and come up under us, which made it very difficult to see them. And the protection you had was to constantly crank the plane up and clear your tail, crank it up the other way, clear your tail, and live in the rear view mirror. You always kept one eye in the rear view mirror. It was up here, and it was located in such a manner that you could scan pretty well anything behind you. It was not only helpful for fighters, which we saw occasionally. It was more importantly for flak, because you could always depend that you were going on getting some flak. We got flak, I don't know, just about every mission. In fact, my first mission was over the front lines at the Rapido River next to the Abbey of Monte Cassino. I was flying it at 26,000 feet, directed to fly at 26,000 feet. I had 8 flight lines, and I was a neophyte. I was an eager beaver, and I flew the 8 flight lines, and on 5 of them I got flak. On several of them I got flak so close that it rocked the airplane, and I heard it. And when I got back, there were a few holes in the airplane, and I received a good chewing out for hanging around under those circumstances. I told him, well, I thought that's what I was supposed to do. But anyhow, I caught hell for bringing a plane back full of holes that had to be patched up. I better check my notes here on that. Let's see. Okay, we also had what we call targets of opportunity. If we saw anything suspicious, and it's hard to do from 25,000 feet, but a little bit lower than that, and you see something that you think, and you have film, like we did on our pinpoints, why we were given freedom to go down and film it. And a lot of times we turned up activity that they didn't even, that the Army, the 5th Army and Clark's outfit, they didn't even suspect. They were appreciative of it because we were doing our job, and we thought it was a good deal because it gave us a chance to do some sightseeing. Now, what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about my path to the P-38. I graduated from Roswell Air Base in Roswell, New Mexico, and I had gone through flight school with, well, going back, I first saw the P-38 in about 1940. There was a squadron of them that were assigned to the Portland Army Air Base, and I think that they were doing sub patrol out over the mouth of the Columbia. But I was so struck by the grace and the agility and the smooth characteristics of the plane. I fell in love with it. I won't say it was my first love, but my wife and I were dating about that time, and so I fell in love with both of them about the same time. Got out of that. I went through flight school determined and assured that I would fly fighters and would go to Williams Field and be a P-38 pilot. Unfortunately, when the requirements came in for pilots on graduation day in May of 1943, there were no requirements requested for P-38s. Nothing to Williams Field. I was devastated. I was just really upset and frustrated because I had a lot of time in AT-9s. AT-9s were the Curtiss version of the Bobcat, the AT-17 or the C-178, and it was a beautiful airplane, but it was all metal, it was underpowered, it flew at 90 and it landed at 90, and but doing aerobatics, it was a jewel, and I flew every time I got a chance. I flew the AT-9, and Lieutenant Ice, my instructor, assured me that don't worry, we were going to get you to Williams Field. It didn't happen. I ended up in Fredo, Washington, as a co-pilot on a B-17. What a letdown. I immediately started application for transfer. And immediately I was threatened with a court-martial. So I cooled my heels until we got to Rapid City, South Dakota for advanced B-17 transition. Applied again, immediately was threatened with another court-martial. And again, at Scottsfield, Illinois, before we were assembling for overseas. Norfolk, Virginia, another court-martial threat. When we got across to North Africa, I had to wait until we got to Tunis, where the 99th bomb group, the bomb groups were stationed at the time. I applied for transfer again, and this time I was told in no uncertain terms, you are either going to fly a B-17 or you ain't going to fly. Well, that pretty well told the story, so I flew one mission in B-17s. I'll be honest with you, I was so bad that when we landed back at our field, we were fortunate to get back. The crew all came to me and lined up and said, Lieutenant, please go find something else you can fly. Well, that did it. The word got back to the pilot, and he went to the group commander, and they both decided that it would be in everybody's best interest if I didn't fly a B-17. So I was released of my flying. I got off out of flying duty. I didn't get any more flight pay for a couple of months, but I then was free to start looking for a P-38 outfit. Unfortunately, at this time, all the fighters moved to Italy. So here I was. And then there was a transition in the Air Force. They created the 15th Air Force from the 12th. So then there was the 12th Air Force, which was tactical, the 15th Air Force, which was strategic. When I applied for a transfer, it first of all had to go up the channels through 12th Air Force headquarters, over to 15th Air Force headquarters, back over to the 12th Squadron that I located that would take me, back up through the 15th Air Force headquarters, back over to 12th Air Force headquarters, before I was finally advised that my transfer had been